Hi everyone, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to create a patterned kite. What you'll be needing today is a pencil, a glue stick, a scissor, some markers or some other material you can use to trace your picture, and something to color your picture in. I have some crayons here, but you can use whatever you have at home. Now today we're going to need a blue piece of construction paper and a white piece of construction paper. You should have a pack of this paper in your art folder, so a blue and a white piece of construction paper in there labeled pattern mitten. We are going to make a kite today. The weather is changing and the winter weather is leaving us thankfully, so instead of making a mitten, we're going to use these blue and white papers to make a kite today. I'm going to put the blue paper to the side because I just need the white one to start. So we got to read the story Stuck, all about how Floyd got his kite stuck in the tree and then threw all of these other items up in there trying to get it out. Now today we're going to make our own kite drawing, and we're going to throw a bunch of different patterns onto our kite using all the different shapes and lines that we know how to draw. So taking everything we already know and throwing it into our kite to give it a crazy fun design. Now we've been talking a lot about texture, and we can actually create texture by doing things like crayon rubbings like we did before, where we take different textured items and rub our crayons so that pattern or design shows up on our paper. We've also drawn texture using repeating lines and designs to create patterns, and we're going to continue doing that today. Now today we're going to mix up some lines and shapes to make our patterns to fill our kite. So on our white paper with our pencil, we are going to draw our kite. Now we want it nice and big so we have a lot of room to create our patterns. I'm going to start in one corner. I'm going to start with a little dot, and from that dot I'm going to draw two diagonal lines coming out, almost like I'm going to make a triangle. Now I'm going to make another dot, and this dot is going to be for the bottom of my kite, and I'm going to go from that point down to the dot on both sides. Once I like the shape of my kite, I'm going to draw a line that can split my kite in half, going up and down, and then another line to split it in half from left to right. So I've kind of connected all of those points. The next thing I'm going to do is think about the different kinds of designs I want in my kite. So all those different kinds of patterns I can think of. So just like Floyd threw everything that he had into his tree, we're going to throw all of our art tools here to create our different designs. So all of our lines and shapes that we know how to draw to create different patterns and different textures inside each section of our kite. So I'm going to think about some of the different kinds of lines I know how to draw. I'm going to start with a zigzag line. And then I'm going to think about different kinds of shapes I know how to draw. So I know how to draw some circles and some triangles. So I'm going to create a pattern using my zigzag line and my shapes of my circles and triangles in this first section of my kite. Now you can create a pattern using whatever you would like. Your patterns and designs do not have to look like mine. Now when we are making a pattern, we are going to be repeating that design over and over again. So I am drawing my zigzag lines, then my triangles and my circles, then more zigzag lines, more triangles and more circles until I fill up that entire space. And now in my next section, I'm going to come up with a different pattern or a different design. I think in this one, I'm going to mix different kinds of lines. So I'm going to do straight lines and wavy lines. So once we're done, we should have 4 different patterns or designs because we have 4 different sections of our kite. And now I think I can even add more to this. So I'm going to throw some dots in here too. And I'm going to continue to come up with different designs and patterns for each section of my kite. All right, and there you have it. That is my kite decorated. So I have 4 different patterns in each of my sections of my kite. I used a mixture of shapes and lines inside all of my different designs and patterns. And now that I'm done with it, I can grab my markers and start to trace. Now you can decide when you're tracing your picture if you want to trace it with one color or if you want to trace it with all different colors. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to trace the outline of my kite with black, and then I'm going to trace the rest of my patterns and designs with my colorful markers, because I want my kite to be super colorful and bright. I am going to just trace this outside shape, so our big diamond shape that we drew, and I'm going to trace those lines that we drew to start that split our kite into those 4 sections. So now that that is all in black, I can use my colored markers to trace the rest. Now, if some of your designs are too big to trace with your markers, you can always use colored pencils or crayons to trace your picture as well. So now that the main shape of my kite is traced, I'm going to grab all different colored markers to trace my picture. Now that I've finished tracing all of my designs, I went in with my eraser and I erased any pencil lines that I could still see. Now I'm super happy with the way that this looks, but I'm going to grab some crayons and just fill in some of my white space. So with my crayons, I can color inside some of my shapes that I drew, and I can also fill in the background spaces. If you want to turn some of your designs into even more detailed patterns, you can also alternate your colors to create patterns as you're coloring too. So maybe I want to color in these stripes here to make a pattern. So I can carefully fill in that background section and use 2 different colors to do it. And then if I want it to be a pattern, I can repeat those colors over and over again to create a pattern. So I can go with my pink, then my yellow, and then repeat those colors over again. So filling in the next section with that pink, then that final section with the yellow. So you can really get crazy with the way that you're coloring in your picture today by making your patterns even more colorful, exciting, and detailed. And there might be some sections where it's already crazy colorful, so maybe you just want to color it in with one color to fill in the rest of that white space. It's totally up to you how you want to fill in your picture. And there you go, that is my kite all finished. So I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm carefully going to cut this out from my paper. With my scissor, I am going to go along that black line that I traced to just cut out the entire kite. I am turning the paper with my non-scissor hand and carefully opening and closing my scissor to follow along that line. As I'm cutting, I'm making sure my fingers on my non-scissor hand are super far away from the scissors so I don't accidentally cut them. Now I can get rid of my scrap and grab my blue paper back, and I'm going to be placing my kite right in the center of my paper. So I can grab my glue stick and put a little bit of glue all along the back of my kite so I can stick it onto my paper. I'm going to put my kite so it is diagonal on my paper, so the top corner is pointing towards the top corner of my blue paper, and then just give it a nice massage so I know it's going to stick. Now we need to give our kite a nice string, and we can add some decorations on our blue paper to show that it's flying high in the sky. So I'm going to grab a marker. I think I'm going to use red. And from the bottom corner of my kite, I'm just going to draw a big wavy line as my kite's string. Now I can also go in and add any decorations in the background to show that it's the sky. Now I want my kite flying up super high in the sky, so I'm going to fill the background with a bunch of clouds. So I'm doing a big curvy bouncy line over and over again to make a cloud shape all around my paper. Now I want to make sure I'm not drawing on top of my kite. I'm just drawing in the space around it. If you want to add like a sun or birds or any other kind of decorations and details in your sky, you can do that. That will look great. I'm going to use the silver crayon to trace my clouds so they are easier to see. And then I'm going to use a lighter blue to color them in. But you can trace and color in whatever kinds of details you're adding to your background with whatever colors you would like. Maybe your kite is getting stuck in a tree just like in our story, so you can always draw that in the background as well. Add some little bows on the end of my kite by just drawing 2 little triangles with a crayon and coloring them in. You can add any other little decorations you want on your kite string. And that is my kite picture all finished. Once you're done with your patterned kite, you can take a photo or video of it and upload it on my Canvas page. I can't wait to see the crazy patterns you guys have come up with. Try your best, have fun, and get creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye!